Good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me? Okay, I've been told I have a soft voice. Thank you to the Missions Committee for inviting me to share our mission moment, or I should say our international missions moment this month. And I'm very excited because this month the church has decided for the entire month to support the mission that we have supported since about 2006 in Africa, in Kenya, Africa. And so we have special offering envelopes in your bulletin. I believe there's also some in the narthex. I think the biggest thing I've been told about 5 times today is to remind everybody to write out a check, if you're using a check, to SCC, to Stowe Community Church, and either put it in the envelope or, you know, on the bottom on the left where you can put something like, this is to pay a bill, or I owe Phil money, you know, that kind of thing. Put your little note down there that this is for the orphanage or for Kenya. I think we'll be able to figure it out. I'll remind you again when I'm done chatting about the orphanage. So let me get you visually acclimated to Kenya. I had no idea the first time I went over there with Karen and 2 of our friends from the Episcopal Church how big it was. So it's 3 times the size of California, and it is about just a tiny bit smaller than Texas. The county where Nyalwodop sits, which is the town that the orphanage is in, is a very small town, probably a little bit smaller than Stowe, and it sits in a county that's about 75 miles from the nearest city, which is called Kisumu. And in order to get to Kisumu, you have to take a flight from Nairobi, the capital of the country. So it's a bit out there for sure. In the town, there is no running water. There's mostly sort of outhouse-type restroom facilities, generators for power, and cooking actually throughout the whole country is done primarily over wood or charcoal, either outdoors or inside in these small one-room homes with kind of a hole in the ceiling to let the smoke out. And interestingly enough, this is true even in the large cities with skyscrapers like Nairobi, so kind of interesting. So now for our mission. Nyalwodop stands for the Nyalwodop Widows and Orphans Development and Education Programs. This group is led by Pastor Ouma and his wife. They've worked since just prior to 2006, but that's when our congregation first found out about the project. The group do work hard to raise their own food, tend their own livestock, build shelters, and most importantly, to provide early education and hopefully with funding provide secondary school education and then on to college or university for talented students. Because this group, part of the Luau tribe, recognize the importance of education as a way out of poverty and towards leadership of the country. So we were introduced to this project by Dr. Jack Bryant and his wife, who were missionaries doing other things when they happened to run across this project, and they came back to the church. They were longtime Stowe Community Church members. They've since moved, and then Mr. Bryant has passed away. But they introduced the missions group to this. And Karen, I believe you've been involved since about day 1 with this, so I appreciate being introduced to it by you. Back in about 2017, Karen started to get really interested in supporting secondary school. And then in 2022, I want to say, she lobbied hard for members of the church to go over there, and a small group of us did. Why is this region so impoverished? Well, HIV/AIDS hit this area very, very hard, and the decades of high mortality rates have left a group of people with very elderly widows with HIV/AIDS and young children without any parents. And so this group of people started the orphanage in order to pair up the elderly widows to be caregivers, believe it or not, for the young orphans. And over time, what has happened is it's become more of a school-based program where the widows and orphans live together in the village in small homes that are built for them, or they work together to obtain. And then the kids come to school. But the children today aren't necessarily orphans in the sense that we think of them as being without a mother and a father. They also may have only a mother, only a father, or may be in a seriously vulnerable situation where the only way to get education and food is to come to school. So recently, the mission has really been supporting a much larger number of children and widows than they anticipated to have at this time. So they are in serious need of funding for food, specifically. And so that is why the Missions Committee had reached out and asked me to share a little bit about the situation over there. Poverty here is driven by a large number of factors. This area of Kenya is not blessed with the wealth of land or agriculture that will grow well, like the tea region, which is about 5 or 6 hours away on back roads. They really don't have much of a way to make money other than to have their small plots of land and move forward. So it's a really vulnerable place to live. Resources are very limited. Education is very limited. The basic necessities of life are very limited. And yet, this group of people, the Luo tribe, have such tremendous assets. They have such strengths. It's really amazing. And, you know, I come from a clinical background in public health where I'm always looking to find out what are the strengths of people, what can we help them with, and not so much what are we looking for in weaknesses. And so I think it's been really helpful to be able to see that. In Kenya, the tribal culture is very prominent even today. There's more than 42 tribes. The Luo tribe have the tribal roots that run deep in Nile Gunga, and they actually are traced all the way back to the beginning of civilization in the Nile Valley. And they carry this deep historical pride. The women are absolutely stunningly beautiful. The men are absolutely, wonderfully skilled in communication. Almost all of them speak both Swahili, which is the native language, and the national language, as well as English and the Luo dialect. Culturally, there's so much to learn, and spiritually, there's so much to learn. This is a joyful people. Music, creativity are a large part of their culture. Everywhere you go, you hear them singing. When we would visit with the widows, they'd burst out into song. Everybody would love this. They're known for resilience as well, and they take great pride, as I mentioned, in education. The other thing is that the Luo are very prominent today in the politics of Kenya. They are bold. They're not afraid to speak up. I know that Pastor Ouma's daughter is pursuing a PhD in public policy, so she can help to change the climate of policy in Kenya that does lead to some of these poverty-driven pockets throughout the country. So our group of 5 went to Nyalwodop at the invitation of Pastor Ouma and through the determination of Mother Karen, as he calls you. And here we saw firsthand the impact that we had on this mission. Our community raised several $1,000s. We worked with the group while we were over there, along with the elders of the school, to determine what were their needs, how could we best put this money to use. And what we did is we bought a water system, because prior to that time, the children had to go and get water. Everyone had to go and get water from the river, and that was their only source of water. So now they have a collection system for water. We also bought some proper school equipment, some chairs for the students so that they would have somewhere to sit when they went to school. And we provided enough support for each of the widows for quite some time. Karen at that time had us meet her student that she was supporting through school. And since that time, Phil and I are now supporting another student. Her name is Ruth, and she is in the health professions. And it's really been fun to connect with Ruth, sometimes weekly, sometimes monthly, and to see the progress that's being made. So as I mentioned, the current needs are for increased food supplies, because we're having this increase in surge of hunger. I am also happy to announce that we have been once again invited to go back to Kenya, and we have the dates for a 2027 trip, which will start on July 8th. There'll be a multitude of days that you can choose to go on this trip. The full trip will run through July 24th. But there are stop-out points along the way for those that can't commit to that period of time. During that time, prior to that time, we hope to do some fundraising efforts here again throughout the year. We would like to involve our youth. I see my grandson is here, and he will be coming. My daughter will be coming. My granddaughter, who couldn't be here today, will be coming. So we're hoping to have a multi-generational group and tailor what we do there to the age of the group, the needs of the group, and if you'll notice me going up and down the stairs, the physical abilities of the group. So, if you have any of those concerns, be not afraid. I forgot your first line, Terry, but just have faith that this will be a life-changing opportunity. And part of the funds for the trip do go to the project, but again, we also last time did a lot of fundraising. We will open this up to the interfaith community and the community at large, if need be, but we also don't want too large of a group to go. And while there, we will spend 3 days at this project. Again, it's pretty arduous to get there, so about 3 days is all we can spend there, but we will stay in a hotel this time. Okay, last time we stayed in rather primitive conditions. Our showers were the rain. Okay, but we've been asked to visit. Pastor Ouma cannot get here because of our world politics. They can't get visas to come over. So I know he's listening today, too, so I'm very excited about that. During this trip, we'll be able to witness the accomplishments that have happened. We'll be able to join in the spiritual community over there. And again, we'll be able to meet with the village elders and assess what can we do next? How can we help this group move forward in a more self-sustaining way? So again, I'm honored this month the missions group has asked me to speak about this. This is rather long-winded, but it's hard to share about the project without setting up the history of it. Again, the June special offerings will be sent immediately to the mission, along with any of us that also privately support them. We'll send our monies along with you to save on the fees to send. And when you make out a check, if you choose to, please make it out to Stowe Community Church and put something on it that tells us it's for Kenya. We'll know where it will go. And please consider joining the mission trip. Next week in the Quest, there'll be a small piece of information about the trip, the actual itinerary. Pricing can't be given yet until July because you can't book things more than a year out there. But I do have the itinerary set, and I forgot it this morning, so sorry. Or you can see me afterwards as well. I'll be downstairs, as will Karen and Phil, to share any information. Oh, it's outside? Okay, outside. All right, thanks so much, everybody. Appreciate it.